Well, since it's been a very long time since I've done one of these, I think I'm going to keep it pretty short and sweet. I want to first off say hello. It's Tim, once again here, A View from the South Stands. I'm coming to you on Sunday afternoon, the day after TFC's 2015 season kickoff in Vancouver, where the Reds defeated the Vancouver Whitecaps 3-1. Goals, a brace from Altidore, a Panenka even, which I'll touch on in a few minutes, and Robbie Findlay scoring as well, with Javinko, with Shearu, and with Altidore standing out for Toronto FC. I had to confess, going into the game yesterday, I had a lot of trepidation. Vancouver is a very good team, and I think especially early on, we saw how good they could be pace-wise, and how good they can be on that horrible carpet that they play on at BC Place, and more on the carpet a little bit later on as well, about the two things that I'm most concerned about for the 2015 campaign. 10, 15, 20 minutes in, the Reds are down 1-0, could have been 2-0. Rivero, the new designated player striker for Vancouver, missed an absolute sitter that I think pretty well anybody, well, other than me, who's got no athletic talent whatsoever, but anybody watching this with a shred of athleticism would have been able to score that goal and give Vancouver an early 2-0 lead yesterday. But luckily for the Reds, that didn't happen. But man, oh man, oh man, did Toronto FC have to weather the storm. Vanny got his tactics pretty wrong to start the game. Vancouver saw that the Reds were playing what I tweeted during the game was a pretty suicidally high line. Long balls, long crossing balls, long balls 50, 60 yards, some of them from some of the Vancouver midfielders were going in over the top, and especially putting Caldwell and Crevel to the sword. Kikuta Manneh had a field day early on. So the game starts to slow a little bit. Toronto FC starts to find their legs as we get closer to the end of the first half, and what happens from a beautiful little setup from Osorio. It started with a really nice calming ball from Shearu. It goes into Javinko. Javinko passes by 3 or 4 guys. The ball is glued to his toe. It puts a great through ball in to new striker Mr. Altidore. And of course, Mr. Altidore goes ahead and puts a great finishing ball through, and the Reds are tied. So it was a real piece of quality from the two designated players that the Reds have brought in. So going into the half, I'm still a little worried. I'm thinking that if the Reds keep doing what they're doing, they're going to get slaughtered in the second half. And I tweeted about 2 or 3, maybe 4 minutes after the second half, that I said obviously Greg Vanny has at least one solid halftime talk in him, because whatever he did at the half, it was night and day. The fullbacks weren't bombing on like they were in the first half. Morrow and Crevel were really getting caught out in the first half, so they tightened up. Osorio played back a little bit. Bradley played much more of a sweeping role. Shearu, who looked absolutely fabulous yesterday. A lot of people aren't really talking about him, but his role yesterday was absolutely pivotal in everything good that Toronto FC did on that pitch. He's going to be, I think, obviously an early leader in the unsung hero candidate for 2015, because he's an instant calming influence on the ball. He distributes it well. He holds up well. He brings other players into the game. And the goals that TFC scored, I'll get to the third one, the Panenka, as they call it, a little bit later on. But on both of the TFC goals, both of those plays were originally started by Shearu, doing his thing in the midfield. So really think that his calming influence is going to be a tremendous, well, for want of a better term, a tremendous upside that maybe a lot of pundits aren't really focusing on as much as they probably should. So the second half wears on. Robbie Findlay scores a nice goal on a lovely crossing ball. The Reds are up 2-1. Vancouver kind of shot their bolt. I think they took off all of their leggy players, well, their pacey players who got leggy at the end, brought on some more players with a little less pace. Toronto FC managed to keep all of those seeing eyeballs and all of the wide play and the midfield play from the Whitecaps in front of them rather than, you know, over the top or behind them. And Vancouver really didn't threaten anything significant of any consequence in the second half. I think it's going to be probably maybe by April. I'm going to be completely out of superlative things to say about Sebastian Giovinco. What a wonderful player. What an absolute steal. Well, if you call paying $7 million for him a steal, I suppose. But he's going to be one of the best players in this league this year, bar none, from what I saw yesterday and what I've seen of him previously. The superlatives are going to run out pretty quickly, so if you've got some superlatives you think I might want to use, you can write them in the space below, right down there, below the video. Altidore. Mr. Altidore did a really good job, obviously, on that goal that I mentioned earlier. And then, of course, in injury time, draws a penalty from a great hold-up on the ball. He forced the Vancouver player to sort of try to straddle him with his leg, brought him down, a clear cut penalty. And what does he do? But he just goes right down the middle with a little chip and scores. In the post-game video, he said that was a spur-of-the-moment thing. Maybe it was, but I think there was some few nanoseconds of thought went into there. Obviously, he came from a very tough situation at Sunderland that didn't see him prosper very well, and I'm sure, obviously, at times he had a crisis of confidence. I think coming back to Major League Soccer, coming back into a team with Michael Bradley, coming back into a situation, obviously, that he's enjoying, I think actually tells you that Josie Altidore, and then he goes and does that really cheeky little goal, that penalty kick, tells me that he's actually throwing down the gauntlet within MLS. He's letting everybody know who's watching that he's confident and that he's back and that he's going to be scoring a lot of goals this season. So I think that was a deliberate sort of a gauntlet throwing on the part of Josie Altidore. Now, last season when I did these videos, I tried to pick my own man of the match. I had a bit of a, shall we say, a bit of an odd choice for man of the match. You might think I might mention Sheru, I might mention Josie Altidore, I might mention Sebastian Giovinco. Neither of those was man of the match for me. To me, the man of the match was Greg Vanney's halftime talk. I think what he did at halftime in adjusting to what Vancouver was doing. I think obviously, I don't think he is the type of guy that turns on the hairdryer and yells at people, but I think obviously what he did to motivate the troops to reorganize things was ultimately the primary reason why Toronto FC won the game yesterday. Now, Vanney has been my biggest concern about things that could really get in the way of Toronto FC doing anything this season is Greg Vanney. He went a good ways yesterday towards dispelling a lot of the concerns that I actually have as a fan who hasn't missed a game of this team in a long, long time. And I've seen all of the bad and all of the worst that we've been put through over those seasons. But he actually got the tactics wrong, adjusted, motivated his troops, and turned things around on the road and a tough place to play against a good team, and saw the Reds score 3 goals on the hop. So the jury is still out for me on Mr. Vanney, but he went a long way yesterday towards sort of dispelling a lot of the concerns I think that people like myself have with him. I think he went a long way yesterday towards doing a lot of that. The only other thing I think that can get in the way of a good season for Toronto FC is this silly Toronto Argonauts business. So I'm optimistic. I'm going to remain optimistic that we're going to find a way to keep those football players out of BMO Field and keep grass into that stadium, because if they have to go to turf after what I saw in Vancouver yesterday, I think it's going to have a dramatically negative impact on this team over the long, long haul. Finally, I'm going to be doing another video after the Columbus game next week. I am going to do these every week. I do apologize for being a bit slack at the end of last season, but frankly, motivation was a little difficult after another losing season. But I know a lot of people that are going to Columbus this week, and I want to wish you all, more than anything, a safe trip down and a safe stay and a safe journey back from Southern Ohio. Let's come back with the 3 points, and let's come back with some war stories that don't involve tear gas, tasers, or police officers. I want to thank you very much for watching. More to follow in this space. Again, leave your comments below. I'd greatly appreciate you letting me know what you think. And if you've got any adjectives I can use for Giovinco, please pass those along as well, Italian or otherwise. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in this space next week. Cheers.